Welcome back, everyone. Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2, Week 2. We're underway. Clash just sorted out Wasted Potential, and we have DotA Gamers versus Crustle Hustle coming up. I hope you enjoyed our music over the break.
Yep.
That is a little Unite Mics X Glitch City crossover action that will be using on our intro, outros on our videos, and of course on our pause screens and starting soon screens here on Unite Mics. So shout out to them. If they're still streaming, when we get out of here, we're going to dump all the love into their channel, of course. So please be amazing and tell them how much you appreciate our new little Unite Mics Mayhem tune. It's ours.
It's
It's
such
ours.
a jam too. I love
It's
it.
a bop. It's a bop. I'm very happy with it. Okay. That being said, we got some Pokemon Unite to play, my friend. I mean, we got to cast it. People have to play it. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to be watching this game between Crustle Hustle and DotA Gamers, like we mentioned. But we do need to do the coin flip for the draft. I believe DotA Gamers has called tails, so they are going to be tails, and Crustle Hustle will be heads.
Okay, here we go. It's flipping. It's flipping.
Okay.
Boom. It is tails.
Tails. Okay. Sounds good. So that means DotA Gamers are going to have choice of first or second pick. So, Two Snacks, we've debated this a little bit on the we debated this on the podcast, we debated this in Mayhem, the strengths of first versus second pick. Where do you lie when this comes to? Would you rather always have first pick, or do you like having maybe the more influential ban and having second ban?
Here's the thing. Season 1, I would rather have the 2 picks on the hop.
Okay.
Season 2, I think the play patterns of Sableye are just such a turd to deal with, to be quite honest.
I'm pretty sure there's 4 fist-shaped holes next to Dupe's next play area, all thanks to Sableye.
Well, fortunately, I play those crazy supports that, safeguard and stuff, so I don't feel particularly awful personally about it. But, I mean, spectator-wise, it's just not the most amazing spectator experience in my personal opinion. So particularly here, I would like first pick and first ban, because you can put the other team on green lighting Sableye or not. You get to pick a good thing out from the other squad, and then you can either get Sableye, you can get the Blissey, you can get some of those other powerful S tier Pokemon. So I know it was supposed to be a quick hit question, but there you go. Spun ya yarn anyways.
No, I liked it. You filled time. Fantastic. DotA Gamers have selected the second pick. So that means Crustle Hustle has their choice of first ban. They are going to be selecting it right now, I'm sure, and getting it to us. DotA Gamers maybe going a little bit of a different direction. Maybe not as afraid of Sableye as you are, but who knows? I'm sure that Pokemon will be involved in our first game of draft somewhere, most likely in the banning phase.
Most likely, yes. And I don't think it's
there it is. First ban.
I mean, come on. Let's go. The thing about Sableye is it just has a much different play pattern and leads the games down a different path, almost more so than like Dodrio, right? Like Dodrio skews it a little bit, Sableye kind of breaks it into that direction. Which means you have to be either very versed in combating it or very versed in doing it if you're on the Sableye. And that's just not something I'm personally interested in, right? I want to play face up. Everybody's cards are on the table. Let's turn this thing into a slobber knocker. And I love getting rid of Scizor because Scyther is incredibly strong in a lot of these top players' hands.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That Pokemon, and maybe that final note you just mentioned might be the thing we all need to chant, is within top players' hands, that Pokemon is absurd. It really can just skyrocket to take over game potential. Flashbacks to Serena World's kind of power level. And of course already has the other support mechanics built around it. Now this means that Crustle Hustle is going to get 1 pick selection here. I would be pretty shocked if Blissey isn't selected, but Crustle Hustle may have some players that really demand certain high-powered Pokemon that they would like to have selected first in this game.
Yeah, I think DotA Gamers selecting second and wanting 2 on the hop, there's a lot of strength in that, particularly if you don't care about Sableye or Blissey. Then if that's not into the battle math you're trying to do, then picking 2 on the hop is amazing. And Crustle Hustle going Glaceon is an absolute shock to me here. I think Dota gamers are going to be salivating at their options, and I think they get a good opportunity to get some good time, some big time Pokemon. Glaceon is definitely like a pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 Pokemon from what we've seen last week. So I think Crustle Hustle, if they were really into this Glaceon, I think they would have gotten it safely in their second and third picks.
Yeah, I completely agree. Dota gamers, now you get to see the fun of picking second, right? You get these double up picks. You can take 2 tanks off the board immediately if you want to grab it. I imagine we're going to see something like Blissey Snorlax would be, I think, a absolutely powered play here within the draft from Dota gamers to select. But I do think Blissey will be filling out one role. What Dota Gamers wants to do in terms of central area selection, though, is also interesting. I mean, Scyther and Glaceon are both incredible Pokemon. Big Uzi is the central area player for Dota Gamers. I know they are a absolute phenom on the Greninja, so that could be an early selection. I know Crustle Hustle does have players that also play Greninja, so they could be giving it up. But no, it is with my first inclination. They are going to be picking up a tank and a support. It is going to be Blissey and Mamoswine.
Love the Mamoswine pick. I've really been enjoying it. I think I really became a true believer. I know you've been barking at me for almost a year now on Mamoswine, pretty much since its release. And I finally saw the light. Shout out to Salto from Shees. That was an absolute like eye-opening moment for me. And Dota gamers respecting the tusks, and they're looking to gore some people out here in Thea Sky Ruins. Crustle Hustle, though, they have the opportunity to get a Snorlax here. But if they pick Glaceon so high, you better have a good way to insulate it from that mean Mamoswine and anything that Dota gamers get. You mentioned Big Uzi. Listen, they could give Big Uzi, he could go out to the recycle bin, pick up any piece of aluminum out there and stay strapped up, ready to go and take down just about anybody. So Dota gamers are going to be fine. Big Uzi is going to be fine. Crustle Hustle, if they're picking a Glaceon first, they better build a heck of a wall around it. And Azumarill is not a bad start if you're trying to go the aggro bend.
Okay. They're picking Azumarill, Alolan Ninetales, which definitely are some question marks across the board. However, I don't mind the strategy that they're pushing towards. If you're allowing the tank and support picks to be gobbled up by Dota gamers, you may as well try to take their damaging plays completely away. Now, I don't know if Azumarill and Ninetales would have been my first selection, but Crustle Hustle obviously has some strategy that they've been working out in the lab for this comp. I'm interested to see if it's going to be able to hold up against Dota gamers' very, very strong front line they've built up so far.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you have to think if Dota gamers committed to their support and tank early, they're probably not going to go back in that well. Like, Dota gamers might pick up Mr. Mime, but they're probably not going to lean into Slowbro or Snorlax. But it does get Dota gamers the ability to pick up this Dodrio, and after that thing cuts loose, it is mean, and a Zarina as well. Dota gamers are building themselves a pretty strong squad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got some fantastic players on that team. Obviously, they have some fantastic Pokemon to go alongside of it. Dodrio and Serena, both just power picks ever since they have been released, truly. Dodrio has been a menace to deal with constantly, and Serena just, I feel like every single meta, it starts off with not a Serena in sight. No one's playing that Pokemon, and we all just sort of come back to it. You're like, you know what? This Pokemon's still insanely good. This Pokemon is still probably the best 1v5 Pokemon in the entire game. Let's just pick this one up. So I like the Serena pick a lot. There's not too many Pokemon that it plays super well into on Crustle Hustle side. I think Glaceon and Alolan Ninetales have a fine Serena matchup. I don't think there's anybody that Serena's just shutting down immediately. But still, Dota Gamers just really a very strong, well-rounded squad so far. Let's see what Crustle Hustle does to finish it off. They're going to be selecting Snorlax and Wigglytuff.
Okay, I was thinking Snorlax and Delphox maybe. But Snorlax, Wigglytuff, I mean, they're kind of CC central right now. They have the opportunity to really wreak some havoc. They got to find a way to pin down this Dodrio, because Dodrio with his arena follow-up is nasty business, and then you have walls. I mean, Blissey is a pseudo defender.
Right.
There's no question about that. It can absorb so much damage. And then, of course, if it's like, double stacking Mamoswine or, Cookie Mamoswine, that thing's going to get huge in front too. I mean, this is Dota gamers have themselves, and now they might be able to get like a Delphi. They can give Big Uzi the Greninja. Forget going to the recycle bin. We're going to the store. We're going to the Walmart. We're going to pick what we want here. So Dota gamers has a lot of good options. Crustle Hustle, a lot of work ahead of you, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also no Crustles, which is a bummer.
No Crustles. I think in game 2 we absolutely have to see it just for the sake of the memes. It needs to happen. All right, we have the final selection. The rapid fire scarf enjoyer of Cinderace has been locked in.
Right.
I think we finally have our true central area selection for Dota gamers. Is going to be the Cinderace.
I like it. I mean, it's just a ton of damage, good range. They have a great wall built in front. You have the hit and run of the Dodrio. It's going to be hard to tether down all these different looks that Dota gamers is. It's interesting because Dota gamers are going to be throwing a lot of different looks at Crustle Hustle while still playing pretty committed front to back, which is a tough nut to crack. Crustle Hustle, they brought a lot of good tools out here, but it's going to come down to their communication as a squad to really make this lineup pop off.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah, it's interesting. I honestly think one of the biggest problems they're going to run into is Mamoswine, which was a very early pick in the draft. Because that Pokemon is just such a high HP pool, and I do not see very many great burn answers outside of Dispensa's Glaceon, but that still cannot burn down that big of an HP bar that quickly. However, I do think Glaceon plays extremely well into Dodrio. Like, absolutely a great selection into that one.
Yeah, I agree completely. Faz on that Mamoswine is going to be something to watch, keep an eye on here. They're gonna have to find a way to cut Dota gamers off, and I'm just having a hard like if Solo isn't anywhere near some of these other Pokemon, they're just gone. They're gonna be blinked off the map. So Solo, you need to step up, kid, because the rest of the squad is looking for you to hard carry in the way that like a dad carries their child on their back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're looking for you to get to the ride in the amusement park so they can take a swing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Very, very true. All right, yes, I'm excited to see what these squads. Hey, Big Uzi's kind of got their gamer tag back, sort of. A little different.
Big Oozle.
Big Oozle. I will only call them Big Oozle today. But yeah, interesting squads. Obviously, Dota Gamers, a newer squad being put together, but seriously, the talent that's on that team, you cannot look away from. Oblivion, one of the best prospects out of the offseason ever. Nudo, world caliber player. Faz, winning earlier on in this year of UCS in March. Obviously, just epic gamers on both sides of our lobby today.
Absolutely. The one thing I'm expecting out of Dota gamers too, as they gain some speed in Pokemon and they hopefully engage into the UCS here, is a name change. You're more clever. You can do better than that.
They did come up with it after me harassing them for a name, so I do have to say they haven't put a lot of thought into it, but that clearly shown.
For the low price of free, Unite Mics will come up with a name for you.
Oh man,
Unite Mics and our chat will come up with a name for you.
There we go. Oh boy, they're about to get griefed, but I'll take it. Rixel trying to escape away from Faz, but Nudo's actually the one to cut him off. They're absolutely known for their stacking gameplay, was doing what their namesake is for. So already at level 5 at a minute on into the game, leveling up very, very quickly for that top path individual.
Yeah, you saw Faz kind of hanging out, and you might wonder why they just tackled kind of right into the middle. And that was kind of to catch Dispensa's cooldown so that Nudo could make it back and pick up those berries and heal, as Faz is a little bit more resilient here. Solo playing very far forward. That's a good courtesy KO. Rixel pick, going to get credit for that. But Solo leading the charge, and that's what I'm talking about, Zoinks. If they want to do some damage to this Dota squad and crack the foundation here, it's going to be off the back of Solo in those engagements. Dispensa's getting caught out. Oblivion doing a ton of damage, but there's the Crustle Hustlers getting down, getting up, and cutting off Oblivion to keep them from getting a KO.
And you even saw Oblivion having to bail there too. That is just one of the power plays of Glaceon. Dodrio hates sure hit moves. He absolutely hates those moves. And Glaceon, having one of the most powerful ones in the game in their kit, really is a great checking tool for the Dodrio as they try to get involved and then cannot escape those big amounts of damage. A full party here for those 8 birds that are spawning in the middle. Dota Gamers sitting outside the edge. Crustle Hustle the ones to initiate the damage. It looks like they're going to collect every last bit of experience, and Dota Gamers are going to go for a bit of scoring instead.
Yeah, not sure if that was a tactical retreat or actually like a pseudo bait and switch just to get the opportunity to score some free points in. But Crustle coming in with that experience, and they're going to push forward. They're forcing Big Oozle all the way back, and they're going to get some points in. But Solo goes down to the Dodrio after that engagement here, and they're doing tons of damage. But they get caught on the wall. Glaceon gets credit for the creator, and they're pushing back. Rixel getting the KO. Ninetales getting the KO. That goal zone is gone, and Crustle Hustlers straight moving out here, looking good. They must be hopped up on Gatorade, ready to go.
What year is it where I'm like, hey, where was Nudo in that fight? And then we get a pan to the top path, and they're just scoring alone. It's just, this player is known for it, and they are good at it. And those individual scoring moments are going to keep on happening. But Crustle Hustle with a big play. Alolan Ninetales, Mads playing that Avalanche build. A little bit more crowd control utility for that Pokemon, but still keeping the great damage pop-off potential that it has. Nudo on that 1v2 versus Russ and Solo right now.
Solo bailing out is a bit of a surprise. I would have liked them to hang in there. They did have a little bit longer. That big-time ice shard falling from the ceiling here, coming through. Regirock getting shredded. We're going to see who takes it. Faz is getting low, Bloodline's low. 2 players down for the DotA gamers as the Crustle Hustlers are coming in. It's the Glaceon sorting it out. A Big Oozle. They're kicking fireballs into the grills of Mads and company. They get 2 KOs and the Reggie, the basement Reggie, as we like to call him, Big Oozle. You can't bamboozle me. We getting it done down here in the bottom path, and now it's Nudo just being a menace in the face. The 2 chunky Pokemon for the Crustle Hustlers.
Oh, Cinderace just the difference maker in that situation. Obviously, Big Oozle with a KO streak of through. Make it 4 if you're going to count that Regirock. That's a great last hit secure on that in the face of their own team getting knocked out across the board. So, fantastic work from them. We are going to see a goal zone break. Rixel trying to 1v2. Azumarill's passive not doing them any favors in that situation. No chance of crit. Solo jumping onto Faz, who has not hit that level 9 yet. Notable. Mamoswine, no Unite move ready to go, but Solo only at level 7. Great double player knockup, though.
Yeah, Russ is playing far forward, and so is Solo. This is great to cut off Dota's approach here. Big time block. It's going to catch, but here comes the Blissey. They're moving forward. Regilecky's getting shredded. Solo is going down, and it's a Cinderace again. It's Big Oozle. You can't bamboozle the Big Oozle. I said it before. I'll keep saying it because that is hilarious to me. KO streak of 2 for Big Oozle. They're pushing forward. Dodrio getting Russ, and now the points are going in. Big time overcap there. I think. Did the Dodrio really score?
No, it didn't. I think we're just catching up on the UI. Cinderace did get their 41 in, but
I was like, no way we just did it that way.
Now a big overdunk, and now the momentum completely going in the favor of DotA gamers. Unite move Butter Rixel pick is responded in kind by Nudo. They win that 1v1. Unite moves are traded either direction. This time around, Serena takes it, and of course it was supposed to happen. It was destined with a tight matchup.
With a tight matchup, but a 2-level lead for the DotA gamers in that exchange. The Serena 11, that Azumarill sitting at 9. And look at Big Oozle. The fact that they couldn't get the I but have an L there is just going to stitch me up forever now. I might just call him Big Oozle for the rest of forever. Here we go. Oblivion pushing back a whole big squad here. Solo getting the berry, and Crustle Hustlers all over this goal zone. They might be able to get a break here if they have enough points in pocket. Looks like they might fall just short as Rixel pick goes down. That's Dodrio getting the Azumarill here, and that's a Snorlax Unite onto the goal zone, but it's not going to be enough. DotA gamers are forcing out the rest of the squad. Faz with the big time engage. Huge rollout's going to chip on a bunch of walls like a pinball, and they're going to get out of there, and a good block to cut off the squad to get the Crustle Hustlers out. But Russ is still hanging out, and Faz and company are relentless. Nudo stomping, and they want the KOs. Another rollout going to find them in their goal zone. Oblivion and company going to peel off finally.
Nudo caught out here for quite a bit of danger, I think. If Rixel keeps getting those critical hits onto them, they can find a knockout. Serena forced to Unite in kind again. A block keeps them up. Great mechanical play from Solo to win that 2v1.
That's what you like to see. I kind of pumped my fist in the air as I saw the oh my goodness, are you kidding me? The Bliss assistance into the Dodrio Unite into the Bliss assistance, dragged them all the way downtown. That was a runaway train coming through, and everybody was catching receipts. The Crustle Hustlers are down. Dispenza just barely escaping with their life. They're trying to peel upstairs, get their buffs, and make something happen in the top path, but that is what we like to call in the biz synergy.
Yeah, I don't know if it did anything. It was just so cool looking. That Blissey was moving, as we like to say, across the entire map. I don't know. Still, they did get themselves 1 KO. Bloodline bloodline, a master of the Bliss Assistance arts, obviously. These Pokemon are going to be knocked out very quickly. Obviously, Crustle Hustle lower on the experience they need to get these wild Pokemon instead of taking these big team fights in those situations. Sorry, guys, I'll just jump back like a couple seconds here. Do that? Great. Yeah, so Nudo going to be trying to take these fights if they can. But yeah, Regieleki headed down path for the Dota gamers.
Yeah, it's actually the Blissey getting credit for that KO on the Regieleki, or excuse me, winning the Regieleki. As now we're moving forward, and it's the Glaceon that gets gobbled up in a big way. Big Oozle hanging out and getting a little bit of a safeguard. And Rixel Pick going back to base. Let's see what they're about to do. Go back to base, jump right back into the action in that bottom path. Faz going to play very far forward, get some insight for the squad as they decide where they want to go next.
Yeah, only 30 seconds until we hit that final stretch. A pretty close game, but in the points category, obviously the level lead going very in favor of Dota Gamers. Great individual gameplay to send them that far up in the experience race. Big Oozle almost at that level 15 mark, 14 and a half. Cinderace just attacks that much faster every level breakpoint from here on out. Going to be an absolute damage cannon to deal with.
Yeah, the Crustle Hustlers are moving together, though, and they've identified Faz pretty quickly, but they're bunched up, so that's a big-time engage by Dota gamers, and I think they kind of dust them off the shelves here, as Dota's kind of looking to rip, and as the Cinderace comes through, and a big engage by Faz, they're so far deep, but they've cut off the rest of the squad. That block is so weird because it's cutting off everybody from the central here. Damage is flying, there's one player down for the Crustle Hustlers. They're still getting absolutely melted. That is a big-time Icicle Sharp and a huge push by the Mamoswine. They're trying to buy some gaps. One player down for Dota gamers, 2 for Crustle Hustlers, but that's not for long, as there's a third player that goes down, 2 down for Dota gamers, and it's just the Glaceon and the Snorlax. They need to find their way in. Big Oozle testing the waters. They get chunked, and a huge engage by the Dodrio, gobbled up and dusted here. Just like bird food, bird seed left on the ground. They sort that out, and all of the Dota gamers actually reset with just Big Oozle going back to the middle. They're just trying to heal up and ramp up for fight number 2.
I can't believe it. Alolan Ninetales is one of the only Pokemon with the Unite move. That being said, Nudo has one ready to go to. A big shutdown play in pocket for them. Cinderace is spotted out by Solo. Great place to heavy slam, but with no one there to capitalize on the damage, Big Uzi just damage farms a little bit and gets a second knockout. Fast taking credit for that. Rixel picks the next one to go down, as now Ray has become the target of Dota gamers. Great defensive play by them, and really putting up an iron wall around that Ray pit.
Yeah, great idea for them, and just a glory Unite there to get that Alolan Ninetales into the sky and viciously kick it back down, as Dota gamers are scoring some points now. They're going to get those shields, they're going to get the buffs, they're going to get the Rayquazas, and their orders are being delivered to the table. Hundo Burgers on the menu.
Very exciting game, though. We had amazing moments back and forth. Crustle Hustle with a really solid early game. I like these 4-player pushes that they were putting together, really taking Dota gamers off guard. But that being said, after that moment, it really started becoming the Dota gamers show. Nudo with some big knockouts, Bloodline and Oblivion with some crazy combo plays. Either way, they do get knocked out, but it is time up, and Dota gamers win the first game of our series.
I mean, what a showdown. Things got a little bit more loose, and I think we went off the tracks a little bit near the end for the Crustle Hustlers here. But man, they had some really good sparks in that early stages of the game. You know, that goal zone siege that we saw is Nudo. You know, they took advantage of Nudo not joining the fray in the bottom path. They took some big time KOs, had some good pushes. So they're not far off, in my opinion, Zoinks.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like I said, the early game moments looked really solid for them. Big Oozle, I gotta stop. Big Uzi with 10 KOs, looking clean with it on that Cinderace. I look back to that Regirock play where everything looked amazing for Crustle Hustle. 2 big knockouts going their way. Looks like the objective is all but theirs, but Cinderace shows up, Big Uzi pops off, and completely turns the tables in that situation. So great shout out from some various players on Dota Gamers for big moments like that.
Without a doubt. And we're looking down. I mean, Dispenza had themselves a solid game too, 74k damage. I think they had 7 or 8 KOs just off the top of my head. Rixel Pick with 5 KOs. So, you know, they played to their team's strengths. Solo was doing great, enabling the early game engages there. I think there was just a little bit too much water to carry near the end and not enough buckets for Solo, so they couldn't quite put out every fire for the squad as they were looking to find some opportunities to engage. Mads Russ had some moments of brilliance. But Dota gamers proved too much in this one with their really, really kind of clean front to back composition.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think the draft went very well for them. I mean, you got yourselves a Blissey and a Mamoswine in those opening picks. I think that is a fantastic draft play for them. I'm excited to see what Dota Gamers does in draft for game number 2. They have selected side B, so that means they are going to be making the second ban this time around. It seems like it's getting a little bit favored, but who knows? We are going to be starting off draft in any second now. I will let the teams know. Crustle Hustle's Glaceon, though, that was some incredible play. I think it was an amazing Dodrio answer and was really popping off all game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing that raises a bit of a concern is they chose it before the Dodrio, not after, right? So really the question we'd ask Dota gamers is, did you really think you had it like that? And the rest of their picks certainly delivered and bought the opportunity for the Dodrio to get in there and do some work. So if I'm Crustle Hustle, I want to see just a few more changes. I'm not sure the Wigglytuff provided them the support that it was meant to provide with that rollout kind of engagement type of an angle they were using.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see this sing a little bit more. I think it would have favored them better than the rollout. Being said, though, another Pokemon might behoove them in that same slot, but who knows? The rollout Wiggly did have a couple of chances to really shine, but I think Mamoswine sort of shut it down at every angle. I mean, you can knock out Mamoswine as much as you want. You're not going to knock it out. It'll just unite after it's done being punched around. So a great answer by Faz, of course, and a really incredible tank player.
Absolutely. And the question that Mamoswine answers every time it's picked is, can the other team focus fire it down before they take care of the rest of the food on their plate? And I'll be honest, it gets messy if you don't, right? It's like putting soup on a plate. It just covers everything. You got to make sure you get it into the bowl. Contain it. Make sure you know exactly what it's about, and don't let it spread and touch all your other stuff. Don't let it get on the plate. Don't ruin your mom's tablecloth. All right? Sort it out. That's a great question. It's like a level 0 question that you can ask in the pick ban format. Can you focus fire down a cookie Mamoswine? Check yes. If you can, cool. We'll switch it up for game 2. If no, then you ask the question again, because it's such a good Pokemon to build around, and it has a lot of good tools.
Yeah, I think you were correct. I mean, we've obviously been showing a lot of love towards that Pokemon. One Pokemon
it's been in every game, dude.
Yeah,
like all last week. I mean, and here's the thing. That's what's beautiful about the pick ban format. You could make an argument that if it wasn't pick ban format, it wouldn't be picked. I think its power level now is pretty good. So I think it'd still be seeing its way into some games
for sure.
But it's causing teams to have more Pokemon in pocket, operate in the face of different Pokemon, and understand what more Pokemon do. And like I said, Mamoswine's just a very good level 0 question. Can you focus fire it down? If not, you're fixing to have some trouble, and it doesn't matter what the other 4 characters are.
That's true. Yeah, if you see Mamoswine on your final exam, you're a little terrified of having to come up with an answer for it. I agree. I'm interested we haven't seen Snorlax as high on the draft priority. That has been one thing that I haven't seen very often. We have seen Snorlax appear. I mean, not as popular. Just a lot of people were hyping that Pokemon up at the start of this season. But we do have a Dodrio ban from Crustle Hustle. So that is going to mean Oblivion on a new Pokemon in this next game. I'm interested to see where they go. They have played a lot of Buzzwole this season. I believe they also played it in our draft format last time around. I've seen Oblivion playing more Buzzwole in tournament play too. So that is my assumption of where that attacker role is going to kind of find itself. However, they are playing with Nudo, and Nudo is sort of their melee attack damage style player. So if you want to double down on it, you can. However, I don't know if that's the direction they'll want to go.
Yeah, it's hard to cut Nudo off of their options, right? Almost to the point where it's like, do you even try? Because, it's like trying to hold sand with your fingers just slightly wide open. A lot's going to get through. You're going to have a little bit in your palm, but the rest is going to fall back to the ground.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, a Dodrio ban does mean that Dota Gamers gets the Blissey. Does mean they get the Blissey again. So I am excited to see that. Of course, Bloodline played it really an amazing Blissey game. Last game was a lot of fun to watch. Crustle Hustle now gets the back-to-back selections.
Yep. grab yourself a Mamoswine, grab yourself something else. That's what I'm looking at. At least get yourself a top tier defender that you're comfortable with. And if that's Snorlax, honestly, if it's Snorlax, just kind of let it fall. Pick something else. But Crustle Hustle has some options here.
They
Glaceon
do.
might not be bad now.
They have selected the Mamoswine, like you were recommending. That is going to be their lock-in, but they're also going to be grabbing the Gremlin. Sableye has been selected.
All right, so this is a whole other litmus test, right? If Mamoswine is like the tip of the iceberg, and we're going underwater here, and we're just chasing down the Pokemon iceberg here, Sableye is like at the bottom. Like it asks the other team, do you understand what it does? Do you understand how to operate around it? I mean, Safeguard Blissey's good, but if it's never around the Pokemon that's being safeguarded, does it really matter? How is Crustle Hustle going to play? Are they just going to cut it loose to score? Is it going to be a permanent invade angle? So, I mean, it throws every different question out of the way, and a team with good communication in a pick ban format is going to have the ability to adjust more so than, like, I don't know, your average solo queue player, of course, because communication is key to like wrangling this thing down and throwing it into the pest control locker and getting it sorted out.
Yeah, the pest control locker probably where this thing belongs at this point in time. You're right. It has so many avenues of play with this Pokemon. I mean, invisibility just really opens up a whole can of worms of how this Pokemon desires to be played. But Dota gamers trying to play into it. They are going to select Serena and Snorlax as their 2 picks.
Okay. And you know, again, if you don't have the Mamoswine, Snorlax is a great supplementary defender to add to the squad. Of course, we're going to see Nudo and Zarina. It seemed like Crustle Hustle was having a hard time getting that Zarina sorted out. So building, again, a more traditional type front-to-back, chonky support, chonky defender, big-time melee engager, and one way to bring Sableye to parity is force it into the mix with some frontline heavy hitters, because Sableye doesn't have the best range, eh?
No, not at all. Yeah, it's just going to hit you from up close and personal. That being said, you can't see it until it does, but yes, you are right. It does not really have many ranged options. Now with Crustle Hustle's next 2 picks, I would love them to find some big range damage to try to out-kite the Serena, out-kite the Snorlax a little bit. I think Glaceon is just a clear, easy selection here. You absolutely had some pop-off from them last game. Give them it again. Would like to see that selection. I don't even know if you go after a support. I think if anything, you grab like Mr. Mime. Maybe. I would say maybe a Mr. Mime if you want like a secondary, more supportive Pokemon in this team composition.
Sure. You can think of it as Blissey, you know, version 2. All right. A little bit of heals, heavy body up front, good defensive stats, can certainly deal some damage, can throw some things into the wind, just in terms of what it brings to the table. It operates on a couple different axes here and offers a lot of good versatility that Crustle Hustle might be looking for here.
Yeah, I mean, versatility, you are right. They're going to be looking for that. You don't want to get too shoehorned in your composition. Mamoswine definitely desires a pretty specific way of playing, but you obviously have more than one path to play in, especially off the start of that game. So you can come up with a few different strategies to give yourself a couple avenues of victory. I liked the Azumarill from last game, too. I thought that was a pretty great selection. I think Glaceon Azumarill here is a perfectly fine back-to-back selection.
I agree. You're not going to have taken away from you some of the other picks we were discussing, just kind of based on what the Dota gamers are putting together. I don't see them going into the mime well whatsoever. So, hey, save that as your last pick. Get some comfort damage dealers up front. Like we said, Rixel pick and the Glaceon looked very good. The Azumarill and the Glaceon looked very good. We got a Gardevoir for Dota gamers.
Nope, sorry, for Crustle Hustle. That's
for Crustle Hustle.
My bad.
I was gonna say we might have given Dota gamers a little bit too many picks on the hop.
Yep. Well, this is happening. So Crustle Hustle has selected for their next 2 picks Gardevoir and Garchomp. They have been picked.
If Crustle Hustle's last pick isn't Crustle, I will be devastated. If this is where we're at, Crustle needs to be selected.
Yeah, you're probably right at this point in time. Well, I'm certain that Dota Gamers wasn't eyeing either of those two selections for their next couple of picks. So their next couple of picks should come pretty fast, as they've already been thinking about what they are going to be picking. Now, Crustle Hustle certainly not lacking in the damage department, thanks to Pokemon like Gardevoir, and even Sableye can put out absurd amounts of damage if they're running the attack weight, which normally this Pokemon is. It just scores like an absolute machine. Garchomp, on the other hand, okay, I have played a lot of Garchomp on ladder this season. I'm having fun, and I have been winning, so I don't know, maybe it is broken. Rapid Fire Scarf, it does work pretty well against. It's fine going into a Snorlax at a Serena. Well, maybe not Serena. It's okay into Serena. I don't know. This is a very courageous pick. This is a very courageous pick.
Sure. Courageous, great word. I think that is the correct word to use for what we're looking at on the screen right here. Nothing would make me happier than Crustle Hustle winning this game and turning me into a Garchomp believer. Nothing would make me happier. Trust me when I say this. As a caster and a constant spectator of this game, I want that to happen. Now.
Yeah. I have a long history of not being able to prove to you that a Pokemon is good with my play, so I get teams that I think will be able to prove that it is good, and I bring them to you, to the throne of Doom Snacks, and say, here, play this. All right, Dota Gamers have locked in their next two selections. Glaceon has been taken away from the Crustle Hustle, and Buzzwole has been selected. Oblivion on the Big Bug.
All right, we having fun.
Absolutely.
Glaceon's going to get a little bit of spacing, and they're going to be able to play at range, use some sure hit action. Buzzwole going to flex on them, Arnold Schwarzenegger style, no worries. Crustle Hustle, on the other hand, come on. Give me a Shell Bash X Scissor Crustle or something. That's what we want.
I'll put it in the chat. We'll see if they go for it. I don't know if we would. I don't know where it would go. Whatever. Those aren't the kind of questions I should be asking at this point.
Nope.
Well, I don't think we're getting the Crustle. I do have a apology to you in our chat. So I don't think Crustle is being selected, and no, it is not. We have the lock-in. Lucario is going to be the Pokemon selection for Crustle Hustle.
I'll be honest with you, Zoinks. I did not fire up my Sableye, Garchomp, Lucario lineup analysis for this evening, so I don't have too much in depth to say here. But I hope they pop off. I hope they go absolutely crazy. I hope they get every piece of experience they need, and I hope they absolutely melt it down so we get a game 3 of these two teams. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm hoping for game 3 too. We just have the players still filling into lobby somehow. But they'll get there quickly. Do not worry. Yeah, the competition from Crustle Hustle is definitely interesting. I'm most interested to see where these Pokemon go. Lucario probably headed to that top path, of course. Mamoswine, Gardevoir, bottom path. Garchomp, central, Sableye, invade?
Sure. Like, you could have said any words, and I think I would have probably just responded with sure. I mean, you have so many Pokemon that can do so many different things, not exceptionally well on Crustle Hustle. I mean, they need to get the Gible off and going. They need to get Gardevoir off and going. So, to your point, I think the best way to do that is cause as much static as humanly possible with the Sableye. Let Lucario hold down the top path, and cross your fingers that Mamoswine stacks like an absolute monster.
Yeah, I love some Mamo stacking. A cookie does never looked as good as it does when it's equipped to a Mamoswine. So Crustle Hustle certainly has the firepower Dota Gamers with the more well-rounded composition when I am taking a look at it. But yeah, shout out to chat. They're probably suggesting a pup Lucario. That would make sense to me. You need some kind of objective secure outside of the kind of gimmicky future site. So that would make a lot of sense to me. Let's take a look at the item builds for both of these players. Teams.
For sure. And the good thing about Garchomp is it does have an amazing shred capability on objectives. So that 1-2 punch of the Garchomp and Lucario using Power Up Punch makes a lot of sense. especially when you get Dispenza in there and the Gardevoir just dealing tons of damage to kind of fend off the opposing team, and Mamoswine can do that as well. So, once you dig past the first layer of the onion, you can see that there's a little bit more to this thing from the Crustle hustles. But the thing is this this type of setup does not get online early. And Dota Gamers has tons of early game scrap between Snorlax, Glaceon, Buzzwole, and Zarina. I mean, all of them. Literally every Pokemon on there is spikes early and can really take over the game. So, Crustle hustles. Don't lose the leash too quick on this one.
I'm excited to watch Mad's Garchomp. Last time we watched them on the Alolan Ninetales. This time, a pretty hard swap over to the Garchomp, running the Rapid Fire Scarf and potentially the Drain Crown debut in Unite Mics Mayhem. I don't know if we've seen anybody playing that, but either way, I think it's going to be a sweet selection. I love Garchomp. I love playing this Pokemon. Low-key, Sand Attack, crazy busted first evolutionary move. Blind at level 1, I'll take it. But yeah, I'm excited to see where we go with this. Solo also off of the tank pick and onto the Sableye. Very interesting, showcasing their versatility. But speaking of that, Oblivion's Buzzwole is a Pokemon to be reckoned with. I cannot wait to see, and for the chat to see how much this Pokemon could be pop-off. Solo again, though, stealing a buff.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what is expected of them on Sableye. As we see the Eevee roll up, nope, just decides to kind of give up that buff in particular here. Focus, but they're Glaceon now. They're going to be able to hop into the mix if they want it. The Sableye trying to get away, but it's getting chipped in by the Glaceon. Good amount of damage and forces Glaceon into the top path. Lucario playing very far forward. Into the face of Dota Gamers here, exactly where it likes to live while it's trying to stack. Glaceon getting the KO on the Lucario, not a great start if you're Crustle hustles.
No, not at all. Bloodline actually went back in there to take a little bit more action. I don't think anybody expected it, that maybe they would have been able to find that knockout. So Logan going to need to take both berries and try to defend their goal zone, but Nudo's stacking will not be stopped.
No, it will not. And unfortunately, the engagement into the score animation and then the punch going right back under the hop of the Steenie there is going to make it tough work to get a KO. And we're already getting them back the other way. Lucario goes down again. They're sent back to the Pokemon Center while Dota Gamers is looking to score. And it's Curlia getting 2 KOs downstairs, which is huge. And that's exactly who you want to funnel experience to. But look where that Snorlax is.
I like watching Faz's Snorlax a lot. A well-rounded tank player in Unite really has to have the best map awareness on the team. You need to know where you can go, what you can get away with, and of course what objectives you can steal. That high HP pool really makes it less of a risk for you to be in the action, more so than your teammates. Being said, a Psyshock Pup Lucario, I'm going to deal with you in short order.
Yeah, they got dusted. And a good look from the Crustle Hustlers here as everybody's getting leveled up. They're all already to their second evolution, which is where you want to be, of course. And I'm not sure that Gambite's going to make it out. They decide to just Beyblade out of there and get out. Oh, that was a heck of a choke slam there by the Buzzwole, getting a KO on the Piloswine. Lucario hanging in, staying in pocket pretty well. They're looking for an engage on Snorlax. They're getting low. Can they close the door on it? But no, it goes behind Lucario, goes down again. Glaceon getting a KO on the Gambite. That's weakness. That's typing, baby. And now Dota Gamers back to their own goal zone, and they're trying to drag this thing back together, but they're still down on the scoreboard by 18. As I say that, down by 14.
Yep, more Nudo scores are going to be pretty consistent. Big Uzi's Glaceon has been doing very, very well in this matchup so far. Big close combat, though, by Rixel Pick. They get in the action and get 2 KOs for the trouble. Russ taking the credit for that one. Big Uzi forced to unite just as a defensive method to get them off of the goal zone.
Yeah, and that's a circular saw buzzing through, getting 1 KO, make it 2. Curlia heating up here, and now they're a Gardevoir. They're ready to go, and those points are going in. That goal zone is gone, and this looks like a brand new squad.
There we go. Crustle Hustle on the board. Found some momentum. Dispenza and Rixel Pick utilizing great mechanics to get some fantastic KOs. A Unite move used there to secure the objective, but with Bloodline on the case, sometimes it is a necessary thing to do. No goal zones broken at all for Crustle Hustle, meaning the Regieleki not as much of a threat, especially because their goal zone is at Regieleki breakpoint potential, so they can show some level to it, but they're not too pressed if this does get gone the other way.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. Bloodline showed up just to get erased. I'm not even sure you could find their family anymore. Holy smokes. Now we're moving through Rixel pick with the engage. They're stunning them down, but that's a huge double stomp by this arena, and the block separates Solo and Russ. Russ forced to retreat, and that Sableye is going to go down here in short order. That's a Glaceon short hit. We find you. We marked you down. We took you down. Now we're getting into the Claydol. We're seeing the big time, and I don't know if Rixel pick gets out of this one as Nudo's on the chase here, and the Glaceon sorts them out. KO streak of 2. We're coming back the other way as we're moving forward. Big time Guardia Unite gobbles up Glaceon. Doesn't quite get them down. Fast on the backside, and where Dispenza gets KO with the boosted tackle here. And now the Gabba is just forced to retreat. What looked like a decent opportunity for Dota gamers turned a little sideways there, but they did get the courtesy Gardevoir KO, and now getting another one on Sableye isn't a bad look either.
Yeah, Mads does take red buff, so is going to finally hit that level 9. Launches the Garchomp Unite move immediately. It's going to be enough damage to knock out the Serena. Snorlax is up next. Can the Garchomp out-sustain? Drain Crown difference, everybody. The healing is there, and Garchomp stays up fast. Can't find the KO. 1v4 situation, though. That would have been a miracle if it were to happen. Rixel pick at a very impressive level 11, matching Big Uzi's level right now, who is the central area for Dota gamers. An extremely close scoreline. 130 to 133, as Regieleki has finally become the attention of Dota gamers.
Yeah, Dota gamers is all over that Regieleki. They're melting it down, and unfortunately, Gardevoir just getting absolutely dusted here. Gardevoir with the snipe on the Regieleki, and that forced Oblivion on the backside of nowhere. They're getting dusted here, but they're doing a lot of damage. Is Oblivion. Mamoswine gets credit for that. Russ getting the KO. Nudo kind of getting sliced up in between the Gardevoir and the Lucario. What a shot. What a shot and a prayer by the Gardevoir. Steph Curry out here. Ooh, Unite move comes out too, and they're going to see if they can do work. That thing hits, and they're going to be able to get a big-time overdunk here. Big 39er over the top, and Crustle Hustles keeps their goal zone lead as they're engaging on Faz, and Faz is going to go down to this Garchomp. No shot as Nudo's trying to pick up the KO. They might get Mads back the other way, but this is good work by the Crustle Hustles, all off the back of the Guardy Sniper.
Guardy Sniper. Also, they missed the Unite move, but maybe on purpose, because that allowed Regieleki to actually go in. Also, Mads with a sweet eject button Garchomp tech. The Dragon Rush was definitely not going to hit, but with that extra spacing they gained with eject button, they closed the gap and got that big swing. So fantastic mechanical play from Mads on the Garchomp. Fast blocking them out. Unite move used in by Garchomp to try to get some extra damage in this fight.
And the pop takes it. Are you kidding me? Lucario getting it done in the face. Dota can't buy a bucket here. The Unite move comes up and hits the Buzzwole. They're trying to suplex, just choke slam Undertaker, Kane, everybody out here. They're going to KO streak of 2. Russ is the next one on the chopping block. Bloodline's up there with the big bug. Let's see if they can leech some life out of that. Mamoswine is so tough. KO streak of 3. Mads was so low. They get just caught, chipped on the backside. And Dota gamers KO streak 3 for the Oblivion. And Russ is trying to find them before they can reset, falling just a bit short.
Yeah, some big swings there. Huge play by Oblivion. The Buzzwole, the KO streak of 3. Surprise to nobody when you see that player name above that Pokemon. Seriously, has been popping off so much as of recent times, and Buzzwole no exception. But still, Crustle Hustle does have the point lead. Solo gets another score in thanks to a goal-getter dunk, and are actually going to try to run, distracting 3 members of Dota gamers right now, and out-sustaining. Finally, Oblivion nets themselves a KO, but that has given Crustle Hustle so much space around this Regieleki.
Yeah, it's already at half HP. The Snorlax is going to look for a deep engage. No, I thought they were going to go for the heavy slam, but they get frozen up in a big-time Mads engagement off the back of Russ. Sorts it out. Russ gets credit for the KO, but that was definitely a dual effort there. As Oblivion's looking to cut off Russ. Russ just getting vision for the squad. Look at Zarina cruising downstairs, and we've got 17 seconds until Rayquaza, and Crustle Hustles looks pretty good.
Crustle also with the point lead. They also have the Registeel buff still. Caster Curse, my bad. They have lost the Registeel buff, but they also have every bit of positioning you could ever want around the raid pit. They have the lead as well, so defending back caps will have to be on the brain, as Dota Gamers has the potential to do so. They don't have a fantastic ripping composition. However, Serena is an amazing last hit Pokemon, so not touching the Ray is probably in Crustle Hustle's best interest, but you are going to have to deal with the Glaceon threat at some point.
Crustle Hustle having that furthest out goal zone still available opens the door for some cheeky scores from DotA gamers without giving up too much equity in the middle here. We're going to see how DotA decides to engage. The onus is on them to make an action here. And it looks like we got Garchomp babysitting that far goal zone, and they're trying to find some gear. Solo kind of chips in Faz, who's kind of getting dumped on right now. And they're forced to retreat. That's a good chunk of damage that keeps DotA from being able to engage, and Faz might have to catch a reset. We'll see if they do.
Mads has to avoid Oblivion at all costs. One of the only large crowd control Pokemon outside of Snorlax and the side of DotA gamers. Garchomp does not want to be caught up in that. If they do, they're probably just going to have to pop Unite move and hope there's anyone around to actually make it worth it. Nudo hidden away. I don't know if anybody on Crustle Hustle has them on the brain. 50 seconds left of the game. Finally, they have the engage.
Nudo wants the answer. Buzzwole Unite comes out. That's on the back line. That's on Lucario. They're trying to dust them up. Bliss Assistance hits the Snorlax in the middle. Glaceon Unite comes out as well. 2 players down for the Crustle Hustles, making 4. Holy smokes. Where did they go? The 5th one's going to go down, no question. Blissey taking out the Sableye. 5 players down for the Crustle Hustles. Holy smokes. 10. Jack Queen King. Ace. All 5 players down. DotA getting Rayquaza for free, and it's Ducket time.
DotA with a fantastic sweep there of everybody on Crustle Hustle. They slowly push them back little by little. You watch Crustle Hustle just on the back foot, constantly moving towards their own side, obviously trying to protect the Gardevoir, their main damage carry, for as long as they could. But DotA gamers found the angle. Incredible heavy slam by Faz, engaged by Oblivion with their Unite move, and then Bloodline, of course, with some of the best support play in the game, with a Bliss Assistance to knock up and provide support to their team. Amazing team fight from DotA gamers.
Yeah, you mentioned they were it was like slowly turning the crank on a vice grip, right? It was slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And finally, they had pocketed them so well. It was literally Nudo that led the engagement, and then Faz actually heavy slammed behind the Crustle Hustlers, came through, which opened the door for the Buzzwole Unite on the Lucario on the backside, split them up from the squad, forced out their Unite move for no value. And then from there, it was clinical. They swept the squad, and DotA gamers takes out what was a very razor-thin margin in a big way in the last minute.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great last match there. Shout outs to Solo for playing a really amazing Sableye game. I thought, especially in those final moments, landing big confuse rays, buying a ton of time for their team. They knew they were in the lead. They're trying to just burn that clock down as much as they can, make things a bit closer. They did so for quite a long time, but yeah, you're right. The engage from DotA gamers just a little bit too much for them to deal with. Oblivion with the damage crown this time around, 70,000 damage on the Buzzwole. Big Uzi, though, with, I believe, 10 plus knockouts in this match. So very amazing play from both squads, but huge shout out to DotA gamers for heading to our finals this evening.
Yeah, a heck of a barn burn, and we've got Sorted Up coming up next between DotA gamers and Clash. But I'll tell you what, the Gardevoir Garchomp composition, pretty fun to watch, and they were hitting a seam too. They were feeling good. You can kind of see they were catching the wave. They were getting on that same wavelength, and their engagements looked far stronger in that second game than in the first, which leads me to believe, my 2 cents, comfort is important when picking Pokemon. Yes, there's objective tiers to strength levels in Pokemon, of course, and in a pick ban format, it helps to have multiple. But when your back's against the wall and you have nothing to lose, go to your favorite Pokemon, have some fun with your friends, and you find some opportunities to do some big things. And that was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, shout out to some great mechanical play on both sides. Yeah, Crustle Hustle is heading home for tonight, but we saw some great play from them. Man, I'm going to die on this hill. Drain Crown actually was a difference maker in like at least 2 fights, so I'm going to count it.
I'm with you.
It's
you know
a
what?
big deal.
I'm in.
All right, awesome. Well,
okay, what's our YouTube thumbnail? Drain Crown and Tournament.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, shout outs to everybody's YouTube thumbnail for that coming very soon. Well, we are going to be back very soon as we take a very short break as we get the next game set up. I'm already on Be Back Soon screen. We will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the glitch tunes.